We're at EnergyTech 2017, talking with Virginia Greiman. Thanks for talking with us, Jenny.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm delighted to be here.
Now, you teach all over Boston. You teach at Boston University
Oh,
and
yes,
Harvard.
I've taught at many of the universities in Boston. I teach presently at Boston University full-time.
What kind of courses?
Mega projects, one of my favorite subjects. And I teach also about cyber mega projects and infrastructure mega projects. And I teach about the law because the law is a very important aspect of mega projects.
Because?
Because everything we do has legal implications, and we have to think about those implications, whether it be questions about, can we build this project? Can we use this technology? How do we involve the community? And of course, engineers always have lots of legal questions that they have to deal with.
What's the importance of involving the community once the decision to do the project is done?
If you don't involve the community, there's a good chance your project will never complete. It's an absolute essential element. They are the major stakeholder in your project, and they are the reason you're building a project. So community involvement from the earliest moments is absolutely critical to success.
So are you saying that mega projects are often or most of the time have social impact as opposed to just being something big and off in its own world?
Absolutely. If we think of infrastructure as separate from the social impact, we are really cutting short the opportunity to transform cities, to make quality of life better for the individuals. And I think most important, particularly in the developing world, is the alleviation of poverty. And mega projects are used for that purpose as well.
Isn't it difficult to do a mega project in the developing world? I mean, a mega project is big, therefore expensive.
Well, we've had some quite a bit of success in the developing world. And that's resulted from the people living in these poverty-stricken areas being involved in the project, being involved in the development, gaining great experience, sometimes working on the projects. But we need to understand what local communities need, and the only way we can understand that is through engaging with the people.
So showing up in an undeveloped country and saying, I'm from Boston and I'm here to help, doesn't necessarily work.
It does work if you understand how to communicate and if you understand the culture. And it's not that it's always easy, but it's absolutely essential.
Now, besides your work in academia, you've also had a lot of senior government positions.
Yes, I've been very fortunate to spend many years working inside mega projects and learning a lot about how they work, what their challenges are, how they're shaped. Because we read a lot about mega projects costing so much, being late, not delivering everything they promised. And there are many facets that go into a project, and we must understand them in the context. And the context means we understand the community in which they reside, and that includes, of course, political factors that enter into large-scale policy making, and the fact that these projects last a long time, sometimes 10, 20, 30 years.
To do the project, or the project result lasts 10 or 30 years?
The project itself can last that long. We often think that we can finish something in 5, 10 years, and then realism sets in. And we realize we're doing a lot more than we thought we were when we began.
So because the project's so large, there tend to be surprises that you need to react to?
Lots of events that occur that are unexpected. And that's normal for a mega project. And the reason for that is we have multiple stakeholders with multiple interests. We have multiple employers involved in projects, multiple missions and strategies, and we all have to come together and work together to provide the outcomes that have been promised.
We talked in a panel this morning, a different panel, and we were talking about complex systems. And there was a discussion around one of the traits of a complex system is there's no one person in charge. Is it the same situation on a mega project?
Very much so. You have some centralization. You usually have a very high-level board, but there is no way a board of directors can be involved in everything that goes on in a project. So you really need bottom-up governance. I believe it was Bill Gates who said everybody thinks ideas come from the top, but that's not the case. It comes from the knowledge and experts of the people on the ground, on the shop floor. And that's what makes projects so interesting, because we're all learning from each other.
How does the communication work when there's so many moving parts? Is it difficult to listen enough but not listen too much and get confused?
Listening is very important, and understanding each other's views and perspectives, and trying to build consensus throughout the life of the project. And it's always a challenge, and part of that is developing trust. And trust is a key element in order for that project to come together, and in order for the people to feel they've been successful and contributed to the outcome.
Now, as far as mega projects are concerned, you literally wrote the book. What project did you? Your book is called Mega Projects. Is it based on one project, or is it based on general experience?
It is pretty much a case study in mega projects from my experience of living in a mega project for 10 years. And I wrote the book because I wanted to share the lessons learned. So often we work on projects for 9, 10, even 20 years, and we leave behind a lot of boxes with a lot of papers in them. And we can usually find them in the basement of most government buildings. And when I left the Big Dig, I decided these lessons have to be shared. We only can improve projects if we do share. And that was a goal of mine. And I hope to see many others in the future that will write about their experiences.
For people who don't know or don't remember, what was the Big Dig?
The Big Dig was the largest inner city infrastructure project ever built in the world. And it was built on the colonial shoreline. So the topography.
This is in Boston.
And it was in Boston, in the city of Boston. The reason why it was built was because in 1952, we didn't have the technology to go underground, particularly in a city built on the water. So we built a viaduct known as the Ugly Green Monster. And that viaduct existed from 1952 until the 1980s, when we began to realize we could not continue to sit in traffic jams for 2 to 3 hours at a time with no breakdown lanes. We had a quality of life which was impacted because of the structure of the city. And it had many, many challenges. And there were many, many proposals, which there should be, in terms of how we would construct underground and excavate through the city of Boston while people were working and going to school and living their lives.
Must have been exciting. What was your role in the project?
Well, I was risk manager and I was deputy chief counsel, so I got to meet just about everyone on the project.
Yeah, it had to be exciting.
It's a wonderful experience.
Thanks for speaking with us, Jenny.
My pleasure. Thank you.